Sexual harassment would be bullying or coercion in a sexual nature.
Sexual harassment is where someone is harassing or bugging someone or doing something that makes someone else uncomfortable, and it has to do in a sexual manner. Sexual comments, inappropriate or unwanted, touching or.
Harassment.
So sexual harassment is any words, gestures, any unwanted actions of a sexual nature that makes a person feel uncomfortable. It can be through words, it can be through actions, it can be through body language.
Sexual assault is where someone is assaulting someone else in a sexual manner. That can be a variety of things, touching, rude comments, stuff like that.
Well, it would be unwelcomed or inappropriate sexual advances or requests for sexual acts, and also, of course, unwelcomed sexual touching.
Sexual assault is any unwanted sexual touching.
Anyone can really be sexually harassed or even sexually assaulted if put into a situation where that could happen.
To put it simply, anybody can be sexually harassed or sexually assaulted.
Anyone can be sexually harassed or sexually assaulted.
A lot of times people use the word gay. People use the word gay to describe people who are homosexual, but people also use the word gay. They think it's a slang term. For example, people might look at something and mock it and say, "Oh, that's so gay," not realizing the impact that it has on different people and how it can be such a sensitive word to be used.
Well, I had just spoken to that. The word gay is being overused at school. It's being used in a really negative manner. So, for instance, someone comes in wearing a shirt and someone says that shirt is so gay, that's making gay be negative. So, for example, someone in your class with you may be gay, maybe they haven't come out, and when they hear that word being used, they're thinking that it's a bad thing. Gay is a bad thing.
I would say, the word gay is being used at schools in a different manner or an inappropriate manner from how the word is intended to be. People are using it as kind of slang now instead of its proper term.
It affects people in a lot of ways. Emotionally, especially, people can become very offended and very hurt by the use of word gay when it's used inappropriately.
It affects their self-esteem. It'll affect how they feel about themselves. If they are gay and they haven't chosen to come out yet, and people don't know this, then they're going to be thinking, well, I can never come out because I'm being, I may be ridiculed. They're hearing opinions or perceived opinions of people based on what they're saying and how they're using the word gay. So it could be challenging. It may make them not want to come out because they may feel vulnerable.
With regards to that, I believe that the media a lot of times portrays men as more dominant and having to be strong and macho, and they portray females as being inferior, less dominant, and they have to dress skimpy and sexy and be petite. And that said, I also had a recent discussion with regards to what's commonly known as the studs versus sluts model. And when I say that, you'll have to pardon my frankness, but it's not terms that I would typically use. But what I mean by that is that it's a complete double standard because with regards to sexual activity, they portray men, if men are having multiple partners, that they're more of a stud or a player. And then they portray females throughout the media and in public in our communities as if she has multiple partners, she's considered a slut or promiscuous.
Okay, so guys, what I find from watching television, whether, like you say, whether it's music videos, mainstream TV, whether it's advertisements for certain clothing lines, they portray a man as having to be a player. So someone who has, you know, a lot of girlfriends, won't commit. A guy has to be tough, a guy can't cry, guy's got to be strong, guy's got to have money. And party. And for women and girls, what they see is that girls are dramatic, that girls do whatever the guy wants. Girls are supposed to be all about money and superficial things, items. And they're portrayed a lot of times as promiscuous. Being promiscuous, a lot of sexual activity is what's portrayed. They're showing that this is how people are, young people are supposed to act. So it can be really hard for kids and people in general to just try to figure out, you know, what's right, what's real, what's an act. Look at, you know, our rappers like Jay-Z and Eminem. They've come out and they've said, this is just an act. It's just to make money. And that's what people have to remember. What you see on TV is not necessarily reality. And I find that our young people are getting mixed messages or an idea about what relationships are supposed to be like based on what they're seeing on TV.
I would say the media, you know, TV, music videos, magazines, stuff like that, they're portraying guys now as, you know, they have to be big, tough, strong, in, you know, great shape, as well as, you know, very little emotions should be shown, stuff like that, whereas females are shown as emotional, skinny, thin, in a very sexual manner.
Of course, there are lots of ways to stop sexual harassment. Initially, I think if it's occurring and you know it's occurring, you have to tell somebody. That's the most important thing. If you know it's happening to somebody else, it's important that you take the role of helping that person by telling somebody, talking to that person, helping them find the necessary resources. And by the resources, I mean a family member, a trusted adult, a parent, police officers. We can absolutely help you with that. And any community member that, for example, like your teachers, any educators, community service workers, there's an array of resources out there, and sexual harassment can be stopped by using these resources.
Education about sexual harassment is so important because sometimes when people are sexually harassing, they have no idea that they're doing it. So for instance, you know, a beautiful girl walks by and you're whistling at her and yelling, "Hey baby," that's a form of sexual harassment, and that's where education comes into play, where you have to realize that your actions have an effect on someone else. Same thing with a girl, because we know sexual harassment goes both ways. Girls can do it to guys, guys do it to girls. People can be sexually harassed because of their sexual preference. So education is a huge, huge part of prevention. Teaching people what they can do if they're victims of sexual harassment, teaching people what some signs and symptoms of sexual harassment are, because sometimes, like I say, people need to go, wait a minute, I do that. That's sexual harassment, and people need to learn from that. Sometimes they're unaware, sometimes they are aware, but we need to start calling people on, need to start naming it.
Parents can help by educating their kids, reminding them, you know, be safe when you're on the computer, because it can affect, you know, your life down the road, your careers, or even just, you know, it can be embarrassing if you're not careful on those social media sites.